Hey guys, it's Katy, Kay from the Calvert Webzine. We're here today with Robert from Escape the Fate.
Hello.
So let's get rolling. Why don't you, I already introduced you, but why don't you give an unknown fact about yourself?
An unknown fact about myself. I don't know. I don't know if there's any unknown facts about me. I don't know what's known and what's not known. I don't know. I'm a huge sports fan. I don't know. I love watching sports. I'm watching baseball right now. Look. Yep. It's playoffs. So I'm always watching something like that. It gets my mind off the music for a little bit.
Okay.
That works.
Recently it seems as though members have had to take time off the road for undisclosed reasons. Do you believe that touring has a negative effect on people off stage that most fans are not aware of? And what does it mean for the future of the band?
Don't be so nervous. Honestly, for us, it's definitely been I would say a struggle for some of our band members. I personally went through a phase where I just couldn't do it anymore, and I didn't want to do it anymore. And it happened that we were working on our record when I reached my, my climax of just like, I'm fucking over it. I can't do it anymore. I mean, the touring lifestyle is really hard. It's not normal. The extremes are really extreme, and so you get into this weird world where the same rules don't apply, and you end up getting yourself sucked into stuff you never thought you would do, and you don't want to be that person, so you end up focusing on all the negative aspects of touring instead of all the positive, because that's all you've known on the road, which is drugs and girls and shit like that, and that's not healthy for anyone. And especially when you were brought up as a good person, and you have good standing morals and shit like that, and you end up getting sucked into your own hype, I guess, and you don't realize it as it's happening. And so sometimes you got to take a step back and figure yourself out so that the band can move forward, and I like I said, I went through it, and I got lucky, and we were working on our record at that time, so I was able to go home and spend more time in I guess a stable environment. And by the time we got back on the road, I was kind of found myself, and I was ready to do it. And it still took me a while to fully get it, and I was really miserable for a while, and my head wasn't on right, but over time I learned how to just accept things and be okay with it. And there's so many people around you all the time, and sometimes you just gotta have fun with it and live the dream, and you just gotta say, you know what, I'm getting to do something that a lot of people wish they could do, and you don't realize it. And our guitar player Monty's, he's struggling with that right now, and I've been spending a lot of time with him this past week, and he's really excited to get back to work, and we're gonna work on new music and kind of get revamped and recharge our batteries and really start over. And I mean, you feel that the negative backlash, and you feel the fans leaving and the fans not caring anymore, because they just don't want to deal with you anymore. They're like, I want to listen to a band that's going to be there for me just as I'm there for them. But our diehard fans are there, and they've seen the ups and downs, and I've had my band come crashing down before, and I've resurrected it. Well, not just myself, but it's been done, and I'll be damned if I let it burn in hell this time.
Your band was formed in Las Vegas, Nevada. Most bands are coming out of New York and California. Your band got its breakout gig by winning a radio contest judged by My Chemical Romance. You opened up for them in Alkaline Trio, some of the most successful bands in the industry today. Was it harder to make a name for yourself and get out of the music scene coming from Vegas?
Well, that's not how we got our break. Although Wikipedia will tell you differently, that's not how we got our break. Our break came before that because of MySpace. At the time, MySpace.
Well, yeah.
A lot of people obviously use Facebook more now, but MySpace at that time was like huge, and everyone was obsessed. And we started getting a fan base because we put our songs online and people liked them. And our record label at the time, which was Epitaph, heard us, and they said right away, like, we want to sign you. and so we did it, you know. And coming out of Vegas at that time in particular, it wasn't extremely hard because there was a lot happening at that time, and it was sort of like, wow, Vegas is this new hotspot of just good bands. They don't all sound the same, but there's just good bands coming out of there, and so we got picked up. And the hard part was just standing out over everyone else, you know, and you just had to, I guess, be yourself at that time and just push and work harder and promote yourself more and do more shit and like really get people to come out. And that's where like I always shine. I was always about the live show and just getting people hyped up to go, and then we would deliver. So that's just what it came down to.
Yeah. Besides being your big break, did the gig, well, it wasn't really your big break, but how do you feel, what do you think the gig with playing with My Chemical Romance, do you think it helped you guys more, or do you think you would have eventually got where?
Oh no, that was just like, at that time it was just a cherry on top. It was a commercial, they just literally put a cherry on top of a fucking shake. That was awesome. But yeah, that was just it. It was just like at the time shit was happening for us and all this new stuff and the label and all that, and it was like, oh, by the way, you get to open for My Chem. Cool. You know, if we didn't do that, things would have been the same.
Yeah. Okay. So you guys started out on Epitaph. And then you guys went to Interscope Records. Do you feel with people saying you guys have sold out, like your sellouts, does it affect you guys at all?
I don't go on the internet. That's how it's affected me. I don't go on the internet. The only thing I do is, like I said earlier, I watch sports, so I'll go on there sometimes to see who won at whatever event might have happened that day. Other than that, I don't spend any time online. I don't read any comments. I don't care, because at the end of the day, it's like, you're gonna do what's good for you. And for me at that time, I heard it a few times before I stopped going online.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, cool. And you know, I was actually asked that question a lot, you know, and it would be fan mail, and they'd be like, well, you know, this fan says, you know, you guys are selling out and you're going to a major label and you're going to change your sound and all that. And I'm like, dude, it has nothing to do with our sound. We never are going to compromise the way we sound.
Yeah.
We're the type of band that's always evolving, you know, not changing 180 degrees, but evolving. And we're never going to sound the same every time. You know, it's always going to be something new. It's going to be something exciting. And, you know, sometimes things work, sometimes things don't. But we never compromise for our fans. Like, I wouldn't expect them to, you know, want us to sound the same.
Yeah.
You know? And because then if we don't change, it's like, well, that band just, they're the same thing. It gets old, and if you change too much, it's like, well, who is that band? So it doesn't, like, that kind of stuff doesn't affect me. Or it's sellout. It's like, dude, I just want to reach people. I mean, I've been doing this long enough now that I realize that I have, in a sense, a responsibility to make people happy. And it feels really good to spend 2 minutes out of my day to sign someone's, you know, poster or whatever it may be and make them happy. And so the thought in signing to a major label is like, how many more people can I make happy?
Yeah.
You know? And that's all I look at. And the music is always going to be our music. It's like, I'm proud of it. I want more people to hear it. So why would I want to stay over here when it's like, I'm going to make the music I'm going to make regardless. The only difference is who's going to hear it.
Do you sometimes find it hard for the band to like stay afloat with, now that there's even more illegal downloading sites than there was, or are you kind of indifferent, like at least your music's getting out there?
It's, I mean, I wish, you know, it was like the 90s, you know,
Yeah.
and like it was fucking, because then there'd be a lot more money, and, you know, we could do a lot better things. We could take more time to make the best record possible, and we could spend more money on bigger fucking production and have a great show for everyone, you know, and I could live comfortably knowing that, you know, 30 years from now, or 40 years, I'm too old to do it, I'll have some money in the bank to rely on, you know, but at this point, it's just about the experience, and it's like, it's part of the game. You kind of gotta... Anyways, yeah, I mean, illegal downloading is just part of the game. You just gotta roll with the punches, you know, it's just it's another industry now. It's like, okay, well, the music industry is not what it was, and this is how it works now. So you gotta be with the change, and you gotta accept it and figure out other interesting ways to make money and make your show bigger and better.
Before the release of your self-titled album, you started. You stated that you worked with Mick Mars of Motley Crue for the band. What did you guys learn from him?
Honestly, he gave us a confidence boost. Like, he just kind of, as an artist, he like basically showed us like you can do whatever you want. It doesn't like there's no right or wrong way to make a song. There's no right or wrong sound. It's just like he took his guitar and he would just he'd be like, hit it hard, make it sound crazy, and take out these weird pedals and check these fucked up sounds out. That's how he would say it. You're like, man, listen to that, wow, weird sound. He'd be like, man, that sounds fucked up. It sounds awesome. Let me record it. And to us, it was always like super tight, just chord structure and whatever, and that's how you put a song together. And so learning from him is more about a vibe and just capturing whatever sound it is that expresses whatever you're trying to get out. And that was a really, really big part of learning from him. And I mean, the song that we did, it didn't actually quite connect. Like, Craig didn't really feel like anything vocally, so it didn't really work at the time. We're gonna try to revisit it again, but there's no immediate plans with that song. But the experience we took from working with him, it was much more valuable. So that's what we got out of him.
What are some what kind of advice would you give to those bands that are sort of starting out? They're not sure if they have to stick to just one type of music to keep fans, and what's one thing you would tell them do to keep in contact with their fans?
I would tell them basically what Mr. Sinister Gates told me a few weeks ago. Avenged Sevenfold was a band that I idolized and I grew up with, so I took his words to heart. And my band, because we've had a lot of problems personally and stuff, and he gave me this advice. He says, your band is unique. You do what works best for you. Don't ever compromise on anything, because the moment you compromise, then that's when you do it. If you want to write a song that pleases your old fan base, then do it. If you want to sound like something like, man, I miss making a song that sounded like this era of my band, then fucking do it. If you want a song that's like completely different than anything you've done, then do it. It's just, you just gotta follow your heart and put it out there. And some of it will make people unhappy, it'll make others really happy. And so at the end of the day, you just gotta try, and the worst that happens is it doesn't work, and you say fuck it. So that's always my attitude with it, just fuck it.
The different directors for music videos, do you feel it's captured your vision for the band?
I don't know, music videos has been such a love-hate relationship, because it's like there's such a big production, and you always end up like having these crazy ideas, and something always ends up not quite what you wanted it to be. And excuse me, I think our Gorgeous Nightmare video was like the closest, like in terms of like a vibe and a presence. I think that's the closest that we wanted to get for a specific song, and don't turn that on, it makes too much noise. But that song was like the closest to the actual vibe we wanted, that we could have possibly gotten, and along with 10 Miles Wide, where we just wanted to say, fuck it, let's get a bunch of naked girls, because we can. And so, but that's what you do whenever you want that, so those two are like the closest. Everything else kind of was sometimes good, sometimes missed the mark, and it's very frustrating. So I love making music videos, but at the same time, it's like, this should have been here, this should have been that, and you don't have a lot of time to do it and stuff like that. So, but I like those two a lot.
Do you have a message to your fans?
Yeah, I love you, and be patient with us.
Okay. Do you have any questions for us real fast?
No.
Okay. Guys, that was Robert from Escape the Fate, and thanks for checking out the interview, and hope to hear from you guys soon. Bye.